Hello, this is Cho of the Shiny Colors Discord. Welcome to another episode of the Shiny Review. Today we have 3 cards to talk about. A new Produce SSR for Koito, Support SSR for Meguru, and Produce SR for Mikoto. Keep in mind, of course, that Koito and Meguru are permanent. They will be added to the pool of SSRs after the banner is over on the 31st. But the benefit of the banner is that 1, you are able to use the pity system for either Koito or Meguru, and your first copy of Koito or Meguru will automatically put them at 2 stars, which is a great investment for the permanents and helps keep them a little more relevant compared to some of the limited cards that you'll be getting at 0 stars. So, let's go ahead and get things started. Kicking things off, we have Koito. Wrapping up Nocchill's 3rd set and bringing 2021 to a close, we have Koito's latest produced SSR, a vocal visual unit who buffs and applies attention up and grants evasion through her link appeals. By all regards, Koito 3 is a straight upgrade to Koito 1, though that's not too surprising, all things considered. Koito's a fairly basic SSR that happens to complement both of her available teams and should do well. She doesn't replace Koito 2, however, so Visual Nocchill maybe not using her as much, but Visual Nocchill is the more relevant team right now. I personally feel that I cannot add much to the discussion on this card, other than that she's going to possibly help Vocal and Visual Nocchill a little bit. They might need a new support to help either team move forward positively, and it most likely would need to be a Madoka for the best results. She's a good card, but the fact that we're just a few days away from New Year's means that we will certainly see something appear soon that might be more tempting than this Koito. Her roles are maybe as a center, she's definitely a buffer, she has attention up, and she raises evasion, and I low to moderately recommend pulling for Koito. If you're a Koito fan, by all means, the story's great. If you're trying to build Nocchill and you don't have Koito 2, Koito 3 is a great alternative. Otherwise, you're pretty safe to skip. Koito's initial skill is a Vocal 3.0 appeal that raises your Vocal by 20% for 4 turns and your Attention by 20% for 3 turns. This links into an Evasion 15% up for 4 turns, and the link only requires Madoka to have appealed before you. Her 3-star skill is a Visual 4.5 appeal that raises your Visual by 40% for 4 turns and your Attention by 30% for 3 turns. This links into an Evasion 30% up for 4 turns that requires Toru and Hinata to have appealed before her. Koito's 1-star passive is a Vocal Visual 30% up and Attention 15% up that requires the turn count to be 4 or earlier. This has a 20% chance to activate twice. Her 2-star passives, first is a Vocal Visual 65% up with Attention 30% up. It requires 1 or more active reaction buffs, and has a 20% chance to activate twice. The second passive is a Vocal 40% up that requires the turn count to be 3 or later. This has a 20% chance to activate twice. She also gets a Vocal plus 50 uncap at 2 stars. For 3 stars, she gets a Vocal Visual plus 100 uncap, and her 4-star uncap is a plus 150 to Visual. Her memory appeal when maxed out is a Visual 100% up until you take damage, that links into a Visual 2.5 appeal. For the support recommendations, Madoka, Toru, and Hinata are all core to this build thanks to their synergy. Mei continues to be a powerful option for visual teams to increase your visual uncap, as well as have some decent buffs. Asahi partners well with Mei for SP generation, and has strong passives that Nocchill can make full use of, alongside cards like Hiyori, who is another great option for visual teams. For the alternatives, Fuyuko is a good complement if you're missing some of the key pieces above, but have maybe Mei or Asahi as an example. Mono is a great substitute support in a pinch, while Kogane is also a great addition, though her card is a little harder to necessarily use than some of the other visual options, so you may not see her as often due to the fact that Hazuki are still expensive, and there are much better cards technically than Kogane, even though Kogane is not bad. Alternatively, if you have the upgraded version of Mikoto's SSR support, this also provides visual uncap just like Mei, so pairing them together can actually be pretty good if you're aiming for super high visual stats. For the team recommendations, it's Visual Nocchill again, with a tiny change of course. Keep in mind that Koito 3 does not have memory gauge boosting like Koito 2, so this team only works well if your tension is maxed. You may also use Toru as your visual position unit, while Hinata acts as your center. Your final member can vary depending on your situation. In higher grades, selecting visual idols that have a high bonus for the season is ideal, as they can be ignored in favor of continuing your plan with Nocchill. In the lower grades, just having strong visual idols that provide additional damage will always be helpful, so adjust your units according to your support playstyle as well. The weakness of this team is a lack of flexibility. The team really does just run off of these 4 cards, or Koito 2 respectively, so the turn orders end up feeling very strict, and there's a very set game plan for the team. When it works, it's really effective, but many things can go wrong easily, so you probably have to find yourself doing a lot of runs to make this team feel super consistent right now. Again, if we get one more good support for visual, I think they'll be in a good spot, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. On to the grades. Koito as a center earns a B. A common problem with these types of memory appeals now is the lack of consistency. The game knows that you will be attacked before applying the buff, so if you memory appeal and notice you don't actually get a buff, it's because the game has already recognized that you are going to be hit that turn and does not give you the buff. For now, consider Koito 3 as a backup for a backup if you are using the strongest version of Visual Knock Chill. If you don't have Hinata as your center, then you will use Toru. If you don't have Toru as your center, you'll use this Koito. She can be helpful, but pure damage with cards like Hinata will be more useful in the higher grades. As a unit, Koito gets an A. Koito has a lot of positive aspects to her card: strong passives, useful appeals, and a good assortment of uncaps that allow her to raise her stats equally for either team condition. The issue is that without being able to charge Memory Gauge, it reduces the reliability of Visual Knock Chill significantly. She's good in a vacuum, but only loses value at the absolute highest grades without a little bit of luck on your side. Next up we have Meguru. Remember Valentine's Meguru released alongside Tenka 5? This is the exact same card, except you flip the vocal bias into dance. In a lot of ways, Kotatsu Meguru will prove to be a bit more useful in the moment, as Dance Illuminae are much more equipped to deal with Grade Fest currently compared to Vocal, and having a Meguru that doesn't feel awful to use is a huge benefit to the setup. Her access to Unimas Stamina and Dance is very good for Illuminae, and the generic SP generation for Dance is great in general. Her support skills are Idol's Bond, Promise Recovery, and Rest Boost, and she has 3 unique support skills: Dance Mastery SP, reaching plus 16 at level 75, Unit Mastery Stamina, reaching plus 3 at level 75, and Unit Mastery Dance, reaching plus 6 at level 70. Her support appeal does scale, starting at a Dance 3.0, gaining a Dance buff at level 60, a 5% buff for 3 turns, which upgrades by 5% every 5 levels, becoming a 25% buff for 3 turns at level 80. Her TFD Idea, Insight Token for Grad, and Proficiency in Landing Point are all in Dance. Meguru's 1-star passive is a Dance 30% up that requires the turn count to be 3 or earlier. This has a 20% chance to activate once. Her 2-star passive is a Dance 50% up and Vocal Visual 30% up that requires the turn count to be 3 or earlier, and it has a 20% chance to activate twice. Her 3-star uncap is a Dance plus 100, and her 4-star appeal is a Dance 3.0 that raises your Dance by 30% for 3 turns, and your Vocal and Visual by 15% for 3 turns. Meguru's event passive is a Vocal Dance Visual 15% up that requires you to be in the dance position and has a 10% chance to activate twice. Meguru earns an S+. Much like Valentine's Meguru, Kotatsu is a great addition to the Permanent Pulls lineup of supports. Dance has been needing a little bit of help, especially for Illuminae, so Meguru being a more generic support with similar if not stronger effects than Valentine's is a huge boon. The fact her passives lost the Illuminae requirement is an interesting choice, but it helps her be more relevant for general dance teams, not just the Illuminae. The only thing that holds her back is her slightly weaker passives, but it's fine. She's not bad. I moderately to highly recommend pulling for Meguru depending on your team build. If you're heavily invested into Dance Illuminae, this is a great card to pick up and is absolutely worth the time. Otherwise, kind of a mixed bag. If you're running Dance and just need that extra card with a little more generation, then this card's good, but it all depends on your situation. Lastly, we have Mikoto. Our second Fest Tours event reward is Mikoto, a Dance Visual SR who appeals with both stats at once and has a 4-star appeal that can increase the strength of Nichika appeals for a few turns after appealing. Now, let's be real. The biggest reason you would farm for this Mikoto is the addition to her story as a character or for the costume. Functionally, she's a worse version of Mikoto 1 in almost every possible way. Unlike the last Fest Tours reward, Asahi, who is a bit of a unique card compared to her other SR and SSRs, Mikoto provides even less thanks to her being a weaker version of an existing card. The aspect of her buffing Nichika is nice, and I would only see someone using this Mikoto if you had missed her SSRs and want to use Shi's right away. Her roles are Nichika buffer as well as being a dual attacker, and you might as well farm for Mikoto while she's here, especially with the improved odds of getting the Fest Tours rewards early, meaning you don't have to invest into the mode too hard. Mikoto's initial skill is a Dance 1.5 appeal that follows up with a Visual 0.5 appeal and links into a Dance 1.0 appeal. The max version of this is a Visual 2.0 appeal that follows up with a Dance 1.0 appeal and increases Nichika's appeal strength by 0.5 for 3 turns. This links into a visual 1.0 appeal. Mikoto's 1-star passive is a dance 12% up if your mental is 75% or higher, and it has a 40% chance to activate once. Her 2-star passive is a visual 24% up that requires the turn count to be 3 or earlier. This has a 40% chance to activate once. Her 3-star uncap is a plus 50 to visual, and her memory appeal when maxed out is a visual 50% up for 4 turns that links into a dance visual 1.0 appeal. For the support recommendations, if you consider the visual route, Nichika has 2 supports that Mikoto can make full use of. Much like with the discussion of Koito, supports like Mei and Asahi work well in visual teams. You can also use Hiyori and Mono, and Meguru if you want some dance. As for the pure dance side of things, Hokura have a wonderful setup between Natsuha and Juri that can keep things going on their own. You can choose other Hokura supports to assist them, or include cards like Mamimi to introduce a revenge aspect to your playstyle. Mikoto earns a C as a center. She's nothing special. At least the 50% buff can go a little ways thanks to her lower appeal strength. Mixed memory appeals struggle in the current meta due to lack of support that makes multiple stats viable. You realistically will be using her alongside SSR Nichika, who is a much better center, so don't worry about this aspect too much. As a unit, she gets a C-. She's every other Produce SR in the last few months in terms of passives, with her big claim being that she can give a tiny buff exclusively to Nichika. I would say that this buff alone does not warrant using this Mikoto, so consider using her as a means to unlock a cool costume for your future Mikoto Produce cards. The story is good and adds to her in a meaningful way, so those interested in Mikoto's story should consider farming her otherwise. And that will do it for the video today. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. It's kind of crazy to think that just in a couple days, 2021 will be over. We've been doing the channel for over 2 years now, and it's been going real good. So thank you for all the support over the last couple years. I look forward to seeing what happens with 2022, and I hope you are as well. Till next time, I've been Cho. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day.